Hello, Internet. It's another day for our year-long Bible reading challenge, January 5th. So today, for the Old Testament, we will be reading Genesis 11, verses 1 to chapter 13, verse 4. At that time, all mankind spoke a single language. As the population grew and spread eastward, a plain was discovered in the land of Babylon and was soon thickly populated. People who lived there began to talk about building a great city with a temple over tower overreaching to the skies, a proud, eternal monument to themselves. This will weld us together, they said, and keep us from scattering all over the world. So they made great piles of hard burned brick and collected bitumen to use as mortar. But when God came down to see the city and the tower mankind was making, he said, Look, if they are able to accomplish all this when they have just begun to exploit their linguistic and political unity, just think of what they will do later. Nothing will be unattainable for them. Come, let us go down and give them different languages, so that they won't understand each other's words. So in that way, God scattered them all over the earth, and that ended the building of the city. That is why the city is called Babel, meaning confusion, because it was there that Jehovah confused them by giving them many languages, thus widely scattering them across the face of the earth. Shem's line of descendants included Aprashad, born 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old. After that, he lived another 500 years and had many sons and daughters. When Aprashad was 35 years old, his son Shelah was born, and after that he lived another 403 years, and had many sons and daughters. Shelah was 30 years old when his son Eber was born, living 403 years after that, and had many sons and daughters. Eber was 34 years old when his son Peleg was born. He lived another 430 years afterwards, and had many sons and daughters. Peleg was 30 years old when his son Reu was born. He lived another 209 years afterwards, and many sons and daughters. I wonder why they didn't mention the Peleg scattering again. Anyway, no, got distracted. Reu was 32 years older when Serug was born. He lived 207 years after that, with many sons and daughters. Serug was 30 years old when his son Nahor was born. He lived 200 years afterwards, with many sons and daughters. Did you notice that how before the flood people were living like 600 years roughly, but after the flood it's starting to get shorter and shorter, going from 500 to 400, 400, 400, then like 200, 200, 200. So something happened there. Um, this guy Nahor, he only lived 119 years afterwards and had sons and daughters. By the time Terah was 70 years old, he had three sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran had a son named Lot. But Haran died young in that land where he was born. Excuse me. In Ur of Chaldeans, and was survived by his father. Meanwhile, Abram married his half-sister Sarai, while his brother Nahor married their orphaned niece, Milcah, who was the daughter of their brother Haran, and she had a sister named Iscah. But Sarai was barren; she had no children. Then Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, his son Haran's son, child. I feel like we just heard that he was the son. Never mind. That's not a this translation thing. That's just the Bible. Sometimes like the author's often being repetitive thing. Yeah. Anyway, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, and left the Chaldeans, to go to the land of Canaan. But they stopped instead at the city of Haran and settled there. And there Terah died at the age of 205. God had told Abram, "Leave your own country behind you and your own people, and go to the land I will guide you to. If you do, I will cause you to become the father of a great nation. I will bless you and make your name famous, and you will be a blessing to many others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you, and the entire world will be blessed because of you." So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed him, and Lot went too. Abram was 75 years old at the time. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, the cattle and slaves he had gotten in Haran, and finally arrived in Canaan. Traveling through Canaan, they came to a place near Shechem, and set up camp beside the oak Moreh. This area was inhabited by Canaanites at the time. Then Jehovah appeared to Abram and said, "I am going to give this land to your descendants." And Abram built an altar there to commemorate Jehovah's visit. Afterwards, Abram left that place and traveled southward to the hilly country between Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he made camp and made an altar to the Lord and prayed to him. Thus he continued slowly southward to Negeb, pausing frequently. There was at that time a terrible famine in the land, and so Abram went on down to Egypt to live. But as he was approaching the borders of Egypt, he asked Sarai his wife to tell everyone that she was his sister. "You are very beautiful," he told her, "and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife. Let's kill him, and then we can have her.' But if you say you are my sister, then the Egyptians will treat me well because of you, and spare my life." And sure enough, when they arrived in Egypt, everyone spoke of her beauty. When the palace aides saw her, they praised her to the king and Pharaoh, and she was taken into his harem. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, oxen, donkeys, men and women slaves, and camels. But the Lord sent a terrible plague upon Pharaoh's household on account of her being there. Then Pharaoh called Abram before him and accused him sharply. "What is this you have done to me?" he demanded. "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife?" I don't know why I made him French. I just picked a random accent. "Why were you willing to let me marry her, saying she was your sister? Here, take her and be gone." And Pharaoh sent them out of the country under an armed escort, Abram, his wife, and all his household and possessions. So they left Egypt and traveled north into Negeb, Abram with his wife, and Lot and all they owned, for Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. Then they continued northward towards Bethel, where he had camped before, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had built the altar, and there he again worshipped the Lord. All right, that's enough Old Testament for now. So says the Year Bible. Let us move on to the New Testament with Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 through 26. One day, as the crowds were gathering, Jesus went up the hillside with his disciples and sat down and taught them there. "Humble men are very fortunate," he told them, "for the kingdom of heaven is given to them. Those who mourn are fortunate, for they shall be comforted. The meek and lowly are fortunate, for the whole wide world belongs to them." Usually that's translated, "the meek will inherit the earth." Just so that's a pretty famous verse. "Happy are those who long to be just and good, for they shall be completely satisfied. Happy are the kind and merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. Happy are those whose hearts are pure, for they shall see God. Happy are those who are persecuted because they are good, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. When you are reviled and persecuted and lied about because you are my followers, wonderful! Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a tremendous reward awaits you up in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted too. You are the world's seasoning to make it tolerable. Um, that's where he calls us salt of the earth. That's this whole section is quite popular, famous verses. So, every now and then I'd kind of twitch at the slight rewording. Um, if you lose your flavor, what will happen to the world? Also, salt isn't just a flavoring thing; it's a preservative. So this particular translation is losing some things by just saying seasoning and not being specifically salt. But anyway, and you yourselves will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the world's light, a city on a hill, glowing in the night for all to see. Don't hide your light. Let it shine for all. Let your good deeds glow for all to see, so that they will praise your heavenly Father. Don't misunderstand why I have come. It isn't to cancel the laws of Moses and the warnings of the prophets. No, I came to fulfill them and to make them all come true. With all the earnestness I have, I say, every law in the book will continue until its purpose is achieved. And so, if anyone breaks the least commandment and teaches others to, he shall be the least in the kingdom of heaven. But those who teach God's laws and obey them shall be great in the kingdom of heaven. But I warn you, unless your goodness is greater than that of the Pharisees and other Jewish leaders, you can't get into the kingdom of heaven at all. Under the laws of Moses, the rule was, if you murder, you must die. But I have added to that rule and tell you that if you are only angry, even at your own home, you are in danger of judgment. If you call your friend an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the court. If you curse him, you are in danger of the fires of hell. Oh, they do say hell in this particular translation. Anyway, so if you are standing before the altar in the temple, offering a sacrifice to God, and suddenly remember that a friend has something against you, leave your sacrifice there beside the altar, and go and apologize and be reconciled to him, and then come and offer your sacrifice to God. Come to terms quickly with your enemy before it's too late, and he drags you into court, and you are thrown into a debtor's cell, for you will stay there until you have paid the last penny. I feel like several of these things were worded awkwardly, but I mean, it's pretty self explanatory for the most part. Um, trying to remember how he phrased the Moses Law thing, because that's another pretty thing. I've not come to eradicate the law, but to fulfill it, I think was how it's. So pretty similar. Make them all come true is a weird way to phrase because it's like fill them into the fullness of. Never mind. I'm splitting hairs at this point. Um, I feel like they maybe it's in a different gospel, but I feel like when he's made this particular list of like murder, like comparing different thoughts to actions, like in one of the verses they compared lusting after a woman is like committing adultery with her in your heart. I guess it's in a different chapter or verse. Because the gospels have a lot of similar, like share a lot of stories because it's the four of the disciples giving their recollection and writing down what they thought was important Jesus said. So uh, anyway, uh, like I said, I didn't think they used hell in the literal term. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. We finished Matthew's reading for now. Moving on to Psalms, chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. What voice should I do? Done Arnold. Why not do the other big action star? We'll do Rock. Hopefully, y'all can understand my Rocky. Oh Lord, hear me praying. Listen to my plea. O God, my King, for I will never pray to anyone but you. Each morning I will look to the in heaven and lay my request before you, praying earnestly. I know you get no pleasure from wickedness, and cannot tolerate the slightest sin. Therefore proud sinners will not survive your searching gaze. For how you hate their evil deeds. You will destroy them for their lies. How you abhor all murder and deception. But as for me, I will come unto your temple protected by your mercy and your love. I will worship you with deepest awe. Lord, lead me as you promised me you would. Otherwise, my enemies will conquer me. Tell me clearly what to do, which way to turn, for they cannot speak one truthful word. Their hearts are filled with the brim with wickedness. Their suggestions are full of the stench of sin and death. Their tongues are filled with flatteries to gain their wicked ends. O God, hold them responsible. Catch them in their own traps. Let them fall beneath the weight of their own transgressions, for they rebel against you. But make everyone rejoice who puts his trust in you. Keep them shouting for joy because you are defending them. Fill all who love you with your happiness, for your for you bless the godly man. O Lord, you protect him with your shield of love. That was kind of nice. That was fun. All right. And last, we have our Proverbs for the day, which is still chapter 1, but now we're verses 24 through 28. Mm, we'll just do Sam from The Lord of the Rings. I've called you so often, still you won't come. I've pleaded, but all in vain, for you have spurned my counsel and reproof. Some day you'll be in trouble, and I'll laugh. Mock me, will you? I'll mock you. When a storm of terror surrounds you, and when you are engulfed by anguish and distress, then I will not answer your cry for help. I will be too late, though you search for me ever so anxiously. All right. So we got to read about Babel. We got to hear Jesus preach a little bit. We got some, general Psalms and Proverbs, So hopefully you enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you again tomorrow.